Hi, a client asked me the other day what the difference was between 3D, 4D and 5D. And I just thought I would put in a video because I think it's really prevalent at the moment, not to get wrapped up in the terms 3D and 5D. In this current environment, it actually is quite relevant. Whether you use these terms or not, it doesn't matter, but it is actually related to the human journey, which is about expansion and growth, and that we're not always staying the same. And you can even relate this 3D ascension to 5D to the hero's journey if you're familiar with Joseph Campbell's work. So what is 3D? Once again, I'm not an expert in this. This is just purely my perception and what I have observed with these terms and how I use this in my reality. So 3D is the reality the physical reality that we're currently living in, the one that we're reacting to, the one that we're constantly reacting and believing that we are separate to all that is, and that we are the body, that who we truly are is this physical being, that we're not more than this. So it's limited. It's a limited perspective of yourself. The 3D perspective may also be what some people call living unconsciously, because you're constantly reacting without thought. You're constantly reacting to the current environment, feeling that you are powerless, that you are not the creator of your own destiny, that you are constantly reacting. And some people may even call this the victim perspective or the victim mentality. Or even in some cases, even if you're not being the victim of a situation, you may be being the problem solver. So you're constantly reacting. So 4D, and I'll go back to 3D and how it fits in. And 3D is the limited perspective. 4D is when we ascend that 3D perception, and we start to see that we are more than just this physical body. We are more than just reacting to the physical world around us, and that we can interact with the physical world around us and create change. The 4D is also where we start to see that things aren't as what they seem. Things start not to make sense and you start to ask questions. 3D is when you just accept the status quo without question. You go with the crowd, you go with the rhetoric of the times, so to speak. 4D is when people go into questioning things, and this is where real change happens in society, where it's happened in society all throughout the ages, is when someone or a small minority or group of people raise above and actually say, hey, what's going on isn't right. What's going on doesn't work anymore. So they start asking questions and they start to see that things are different. Things don't add up. It's also in 4D that we realize that we are the creative force in our life, that we can create change, that we are connected to something greater than ourselves. Now, this isn't anything new. Religion has often word that we are connected to God, but they also say that we are separate to God. But 4D is when we know that we work in unison, and I'm not going to go into any religious ideology, but 4D is to know that we are not separate, that we are connected to all that is. 4D doesn't mean that you've actually worked it out. You've just observed it, you know it, you can see it, and you want change. That's when people start seeking. So in the hero's journey, this is where you've had the call to action and you get the magical tool and you move in that you want to create transformation. And 4D is also the period of time where there is grief, where you have to let go of the old world. You have to let go of what has been, because you start to see things differently, so people start to see you differently. Some people may even see you as a threat. And that may trigger old belief systems or emotions or things like that. So that's in a very simplistic term, 4D, of when we're transcending the old into the new, asking questions, we're seeing things differently. It's not always an easy road. 4D can also put you in a rabbit hole of despair and hopelessness when you actually see the world differently and things aren't what you thought they were. But this is where we don't lose hope, and this is where we're still transcending. 5D is when we transcend 4D and we can see things without judgment. We see that there is a cycle of why we had to go through the trials, why we had to go through the belly of the whale, why we had to be tested, why we are tested to make sure that we are true to ourselves and we're on that hero's journey. So 5D transcends judgment. So because where 4D, you can get into the trap of actually seeing that things are different, but then you go on to the other side of polarity where you are still in fear and still feeling like you're reacting to the outside world, but you're seeing it differently. To transcend 4D is also to get into that place of no judgment, to see that you're moving beyond. And the big key is that you know that you're connected. You know that you're connected to all that is. You know that you're connected to a field of existence. You know that you're connected to each and every other person, whether they think the same as you or not. You're connected to the earth. You have a knowing that you start to connect and remember who you truly are, which is an infinite being, which is a being that has that is immortal. You have a soul, that you're not just this physical body. You are consciousness. And this is the place of true creation. This is the place where you can find peace, and this is the ascendance, and this is where this is the human journey to be the master of two worlds, to see the world from a higher perspective and no judgment, and to knowing that we are connected to such infinite information. There's a universal field that has been proven by science. I'm not going to go into that. There's lots of people you can look up when you look up universal field. There's Nassim Harriman, there's Rupert Sheldrake, there's Joe Dispenza. They all talk about us accessing this field of information. We start to do that in 4D, 5D, we really embrace it. And often people at this time are moving towards 4D and 5D. They're moving between the two worlds. And that's fine. Like staying in 5D isn't, you don't get there and then you're there forever. It's like you're constantly reconnecting. You're constantly reconnecting and observing. So that's sort of my brief explanation. Of course, it's so much deeper than that. But if you were just wondering what it is, and if you were wondering what the journey is, what the human journey is, and how we're ascending, whether it be on a spiritual level, on a personal level, it is always taking that call to adventure, moving out of 3D, where you come from a victim perspective, where you come from a perspective of just reacting to the current environment, believing that you are this physical body, transcending to see the truth in things, transcending into 4D, where you know that you are connected and that there is a power greater than yourself, power greater than the government, power greater than the matrix of 3D, let's say. So 4D transcends that. That's when you start to realize your own power. 5D is when you embody your power. So I think that's all I wanted to share. I hope that's helpful. Like I said, that is just my perception, and we can go into a lot more deeper conversation than that. But if you're listening to this, you will probably have entered 4D or moving back and forth from 4D, 5D, and I'm with you. That's where I believe I am, moving between those two realms of existence, knowing my connection and working on keeping that connection and trying to stay in a place of no judgment, which isn't always easy, especially when you feel judged yourself. But this is the human journey. This is the ascension journey, which is which we're always growing and expanding, and knowing that we are more than ourselves, and remembering who we are, remembering that we are connected to something greater than ourselves. So I hope that helps. Thank you for listening. If you made it to the end of this video, that is awesome. And hopefully I'll be doing more videos like this. If you have any suggestions, please put them down in the comments below, and I'll be happy to maybe do videos on something else that you would like another perspective of. Okay,